Hey there, thanks so much for checking out Mission Church. We would love to see you right here at 82 Stratford Drive on the weekend. We've got services on Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. and on Sundays at 8:30, 10, and 11:30 a.m. Grateful that you are tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our messages. And for right now, let's dive into this message.
All right, good to be with you guys. About 4 hours ago, whenever I woke up, I had no voice. And so I got through the 8:30. I'm going to work to get through the 10 o'clock. So I've got my throat coat tea here. And the irony is I'm talking about the power of words today. And I couldn't get one word out about 6 o'clock this morning. I'm thrilled to talk to you guys about how we can do family better. And it just starts with a posture of humility. That every single one of us in this room would just start by saying, I can get better. Do family better. Maybe you're married, maybe you're single again, maybe you're a grandparent, maybe you're a high school student. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what family looks like, we all have relationships, and that's what this teaching series is all about, to help equip you to win, to get better in all of your relationships. But it begins with a posture of humility, that I can get better. And so if you would, let's go ahead, raise your right hand, and say it with me on the count of three, I can get better. I can get better. And this is where it begins. But if you think, and I think that I've arrived, that we've arrived, well, the next 30 minutes probably isn't going to do much. But if we begin with a posture of humility, saying, you know what, I can get better, and it starts with me up here, the guy with the microphone. John really can get better. Kelly, don't say amen. But I really can get better. I can. 16,000. Everyone say 16,000. That's the amount of words that you and I use on average every single day. And when I came across that stat, I was like, wow, that sounds like a lot. That's a big number. Some of us probably affect that number up or down. But on average, 16,000 words a day. And I think it's because of the amount of words that we use. If we're not careful, we don't think about the words that we say. Because of the amount of words that we use in a given day, we can just become too casual with them or flippant with them. And yet today is a teaching to help us do family better by really thinking about the power of our words. The power of our words. When you open up the Bible, you get to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, and this is how it starts. In the beginning, God created. In the beginning, say with me, God what? God created. And when we look into the creation account, we see that God created, but we need to ask the question of how. How did God create everything that we see? How did he build this? How did he build this place that we all live in? And the answer is his words. Right after this, we see the next phrase, and God said. Isn't that interesting? And God said, and after God spoke, things happened. Things were created, and God said, and light appeared. Evening and morning took place, and God said, and there was land and oceans and plants and planets and eventually people. Why? Because the power of words. This is what we see in the very beginning. God built this through his words. And never before in my life, I've studied the Bible a long time, have I juxtaposed Genesis 1 and Genesis 3 to see the power of words. And yes, in Genesis 1, we see the power of words, that they can build things, and they did. But in Genesis chapter 3, we see that words are also powerful in the way that they can break things. Where in Genesis 1, we see, and God said, yet in Genesis 3, and Satan said. The serpent said to the woman, did God really say? You just get 3 chapters into the Bible, and we see the power of words. That words have the capacity to bring light and life and darkness and death. That since the very beginning, it's as true as gravity, that words, they have the ability to build things or break things. Do family better. How? Through the power of our words. This is what we see in the New Testament. The Apostle Paul says this in Ephesians 4, verse 29. This will really be kind of the anchor verse for our teaching today. Paul says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for, say with me, building others up. According to whose needs? Their needs. Do you want to do family better? Do you want your marriage to get better or worse? I'm guessing most everyone in this room would say, yeah, I'd like to get like 2% better, maybe 20% better. High school students, would you like to enjoy being at your home more? I think you would say yes. Grandparents, would you like to connect more with your grandkids? Of course you would. We all want to do family better, and yet oftentimes we overlook one of the most practical and simple yet powerful ways we do family better. It's through the power of our words. And so what I want to do today is I want to share with you 5 kinds of words that build. 5 kinds of words that we can learn how to use within our relationships that will build instead of tear down, that will build others up instead of tear others down. We can learn this. And I'm going to use the acronym WORDS to help me stay on track, to help you follow along. It starts with the letter W, words. We're going to learn how to use words that are wise. If you're taking notes, this is the first part of it, words that are wise. We're going to choose to no longer be casual with the 16,000 words that we use on average. We're going to use words that are wise. This is what James teaches us in the New Testament. Everyone should be quick to listen and what? Slow to speak. All right, this is for at least one person in here right now. Not just me, right? You were given 2 ears and 1 mouth. And I think God's like kind of making it obvious on how you should do this thing, right? So we're going to listen twice as much as we speak. We need to be quick to listen and slow to speak. These are words that are wise. If you want to build others up, those that you love, those that you're in relationship with, this requires building words, and those kinds of words are wise words. Proverbs 10, verse 19 says, "He who restrains his lips is what? Is wise." So I've found if I just talk 50% less in a given day, my wisdom goes up by like 100x, all right? Some of us, we're just letting it fly too much. We're not thinking about the power of our words that are leaving our mouth. We need to learn restraint. We need to learn how to slow down. We need to learn how to listen. This is certainly what it looks like to do family better. Now, I want you to imagine your relationships right now. Okay, maybe it's the car ride home from church. Maybe it's lunch around the table. I don't know what it looks like for you. It's with your roommates. It's with your dad. It's with your grandchild, whatever it looks like. And I want you to think about that conversation. When they say something to you, and then it's your opportunity to respond back. Okay, just kind of imagine that. Some of you have already had these opportunities today. When it's your opportunity to respond back, here's what I want you to think. I want you to pause first. When it's your opportunity to respond back to your fiance, when it's your opportunity to respond back to them, I want you to pause first. Say it with me. I want you to what? I want you to, I want you to pause first. We need to slow it down, okay? I need to slow it down. We need to learn how to pause first. So before you say something, I want you to see something. And I brought this for you. On the left, this is what I want you to see. This is the pause button. Everyone see that? Okay? On your drive home, here in about 40 minutes. When she says something, I want you to see something, okay? When your 13-year-old tonight, when it's 10 o'clock, they're supposed to be in bed, when they say something, I want you to see something. We're going to pause first. This is what wise people do. This is why their words are wise. They slow it down. They talk to themselves before they talk to people. It sounds like this. When Kelly says something to me, John talks to John before John talks to Kelly. John talks to John, and John says something like this to John. John, what you are about to say to your sweet wife, does that need to be said? Really? So John needs to talk to John before John talks to anybody else. Before I talk to one of my sweet daughters, who are both about teenagers, before I say anything, John needs to talk to John. I got to pause first. I need to ask that question, all right? Of what I'm about to say, does this need to be said? Of what I'm about to say, how am I going to say it? My words weigh 1,000 pounds as a dad. How am I going to say it? I got to pause first. So important. Now, eventually you're going to have to hit the play button. Okay, in relationships, you have to talk. All right? Some of you need to hear this, like talk more. Like they'd like to hear more. You need to hit the play button, but we're going to pause first. Proverbs 12:18 says, some people make cutting remarks, but the words of the wise bring healing. If you want to do family better, we got to think about our words. We need to use words that are wise. Secondly, we need to use words that open up. We need to use words that open others up instead of shut others down. And I don't know when you learned it, because so much of how we do with words, it's habitual. It's a habit. You learned it a long time ago, maybe if your parents, I'm not sure. But it's become habitual with how you use your words. And if you're honest, you see your words like a wrestler. And you are trying to pin people in your relationships down on the mat and win. and you've gotten really good at it, except that you've gotten confused that in relationships, winning is actually oneness. And you're wondering why they're not responding back to your text messages. And you're wondering why your grown kids don't want to come home for Christmas. And you're wondering why she doesn't want to with you. And you're wondering why all of this. Did you understand what I meant by that? Good. Jared's with me. It's because your words have been weaponized, man. You pin people with your words. You shut them down with your words. And yet winning in relationships is oneness, isn't it? It's where the other person feels seen and loved and heard and appreciated and valued. Like, you want intimacy? Listen to what I'm saying. We need to learn, emphasis on learn, how to use words that open up. So here's what we can do. This is really practical. I'll call this kind of the Amazon moment. When that package arrives and you grab it off your doorstep from Amazon, I know you just kind of have to use your imagination with this. You're standing there in the kitchen and your spouse is there, but it's addressed to her or to him. Yet you have it in your hands and you open it and you pull that thing out that they ordered for Amazon. Okay, can everyone imagine this? What you say next is the ball game. Because what most of us say next, it shuts others down. Because here's the word choice you've gotten in the habit of using. Here's what you say next. You pull that thing out, whatever it is that they ordered from Amazon, and you say to them, why? And you kind of look at them with a certain look. Why? Why? Don't leave me up, or don't act like you don't do this. Why? I'm married to Kelly, and we have 2 amazing daughters, so I have a home full of women. The amount of skincare products. I was talking to my daughters about this on the drive to church this morning, and they're like, Dad, let's just talk about eyelashes, for example. We curl them, then we put stuff on them, and then we boost them. And so there'll just be things that arrive, and if I'm not careful, I'm like, what? Why? Now, if you talk to Kelly, you're also going to hear the other side of the story, the amount of things that I buy that make no sense to nobody but me. You know, my triathlons and all this stuff that I do. I mean, I got a new pair of cycling shorts the other day, and I was so excited. And she's a lot better at this than me. But instead of saying why, here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, wow. Wow. All right, let's try this on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow. And sometimes you got to really fake it. So I had these new cycling stuff, and Kel is so good at this because she's amazing with her words. She's like, wow, tell me more about that. Why you need another pair of... So here's another thing with this wow word. When you use why, you put them in the corner, and now they're going to have to fight to get out of the corner. So if you're managing people, use this as well. This is incredibly effective. If you use why, whatever they did, now they're on the defense. That's just not going to open up the conversation. It's not going to work very well. Wow, and that can sound a few different ways with some different inflection, like wow, or wow, okay? It could sound a few different ways. It opens things up. From a parenting standpoint, we learned this a number of years ago, really, really helpful response. When your kids, your teenage kids or grown kids, say something to you that really surprises you, and truthfully incites fear within you. Instead of saying, why? Here's what we're going to say. Wow. Tell me more. This is gold. I'm telling you guys within relationships, wow. Tell me more. So let's practice this on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow. Tell me more. Use this with your kids. Why? You want them to open up. She's great at this. As a dad, and I'm hearing things, I'm like, so she's a little bit better at this than me. Wow, hey, tell me more. Why? We want our kids to talk to us. We want there to be open lines of communication in our home, okay? When your wife has had a really hard week at the end of the week and you're out to dinner, and say you're saying, why? You slept 8 hours last night. No. You're going to say, wow, tell me more. Tell me more. It sounds like this was a really difficult week. Well, why are we doing this? Because we want to do family better. Why are we doing this? Because we can do family better. We actually have to learn and can learn how to use our words in these ways. We're going to use our words that can open up the relationship. This is so important. Let me give you a few others that you can use. Wow, tell me more, super helpful. Here's another one, help me understand. Help me understand. Hey, when you said that, hey, when that happened, just help me understand. Help me understand. How about this one? Is there more? Hey, is there more? And that can sound a couple different ways depending on the conversation. You can put an edge of curiosity on it. Is there more? And they're like, cool, they're actually interested, right? The songs that my daughters are listening to, right? Oh, is there more? Is there another song we can listen to in my truck that I don't like? Is there more? All right, but what am I doing? We're just bonding. We're opening it up instead of shutting it down. How about this one? And what else? When someone is really sharing their heart, something that's hard, something that's difficult, and we're going to be present. We're just going to say, hey, and what else? How about this? What do you think? What do you think? We're going to put power on the other side of the relationship. We're going to ask them, hey, what do you think? What do you think? And what I'm teaching you right now, this is what Jesus did. This is what he did. Who was better at relationships than Jesus? Answer, no one. He asked over 300 questions. He directly answered only 8. And so this is something that we see in the life of Jesus. And if you're finding and following Jesus, then we're going to actually learn how to use our words to build others up according to their needs. Words that are wise, words that open up. R stands for words that repair. Words that repair. If you're in any relationship for any length of time, you know that things get hard. You know that conflict is going to take place. Someone is going to say something that hurts. Someone is going to do something or not do something that you wish they would have not done or you wish they would have done. There's going to be a fracture in that relationship, and this is why we need to talk about how you and I can use words that repair. Why is this important? Relationships are hard. Marriages are hard. Someone once asked an older couple who had been married for 50 years, what's the secret to your long, happy, amazing marriage? The older couple thought about it, and the man replied, we go out to eat at a restaurant twice a week. She goes on Tuesdays, I go on Fridays. And it's funny, but marriage is hard. Like reality takes place after the honeymoon. 2 flawed people learning how to live together. And beyond living together, learning how to love one another, learning how to see their differences as not things that divide, but actually make us stronger. Learning how to raise kids that now have a vocabulary and opinions and thoughts, and they see this world a certain way. How do we do relationships? Well, we gotta understand conflict is going to happen. And when conflict happens, that doesn't mean it's over. No, it just means it got real. And it's an opportunity for you and I to learn how to use words that repair. Man, this is so important. How many of you have ever had a leak in your roof? Just curious. Anyone ever have a leak in your roof? All right, a number of us, you've had a leak in your roof. What did you do the next day? Did you come downstairs and say, honey, we're selling the house? For sale sign in the front yard. Or did you come down the stairs and say, we're burning it. We're burning the whole place down. There's a leak in the roof. That's it. It's over. No, you didn't do that. Why? Because repairing was an option. When I was 12 years old, I broke my arm. Anyone ever break something in here? You guys have broken? You guys do stuff? Yeah, I do stuff too. I was skiing, went off something, and I was 12 and landed on it, broke my arm. And I was there in Summit County, Colorado at the hospital, and I was 12, and I remember the doctor not saying, we're just going to cut it off. No, I was so delighted to hear that repair was an option. He's like, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cast it. And then once you get that cast off, you're going to have to do some hard yet necessary work of rehabilitating it. But I'm telling you, if you do these things, if you put in the work, it's going to come back even stronger. This can be true of your relationships. You've been friends for decades and just something happened and you're out. You said, I do, which what you really meant is I will. And yet they haven't showed up the way you thought they were going to show up. Your grandkids are being raised in a very different generation. And you're like, someone did something, someone said something. In relationships, what is more important than relationships? Someone tell me. Your next car, your next house, your next whatever? Like when you're on your deathbed, what you want in the room isn't your boat. What you want in your room isn't a new pair of Nikes. That was for me. What you want in the room is what? It's your people. It's your tribe. It's your community. It's your relationships. It's your family. So somebody's got to hear this today. Repairing the relationship is an option. It is. It's an option. It's going to require hard work. It's going to be painful, but it can come back stronger than what it was in the first place. I've seen it. I've lived it. Many of you have as well. This is so important. I do want to make a disclaimer within this. There's some of you that are in an abusive relationship. Your next step isn't repairing. Your next step is to run and to get help. Okay? Important disclaimer. If you read about David in the Old Testament and a guy named King Saul was throwing spears at the head of David. David, in that moment, did not say, wow, tell me more. And what else? No, he ran. If you're being abused, what you need is distance. We'll help. But that is the exception, that is not the rule. If you're in a relationship and it feels stale, it doesn't mean you run. No, it means you roll up your sleeves and you get to work. You learn how to talk to each other in new ways. You learn how to make new deposits. You don't just quit on it. Just because the kids are grown and are now in college and it's just you and her. You rebuild it. You start over. You figure it out. Retreating isn't an option. No, you burned the ships long ago. This is so important for us to understand that repairing really is an option. Romans 12:18. Man, I'm getting after it. I'm losing my voice. The 11:30, I don't know what they're going to hear. We're just going to play the video for 11:30. My voice, I got a little bit left. I'm getting fired up, man, just because I just know there's so much at stake right now in this room. Romans 12:18. So many times I wish this verse wasn't in the Bible, but it is. If it is possible, as far as it depends on who? Live at peace with everyone. It doesn't mean you're going to understand, doesn't even mean you're going to agree. Live at peace with everyone. Do your part. That's what it means. So important. Here's some other options within words that repair, some great words that can really have a repairing effect on your relationships when they're fractured. I was wrong. Man, what an important set of words to learn how to say. Anybody engaged in here? Just curious, anybody engaged? Okay, make sure you guys learn that one, okay? Marriage is amazing, but get ready to admit this would be so powerful and effective for your marriage. Kelly and I have used it a lot over the years. How about this one? When you fill in the blank, I felt fill in the blank. I'm not sure where we learned this, Kelly, but this has been so helpful for us to be specific. I can get my feelings hurt easier than she can get her feelings hurt. So I can be more of a feeler and sensitive than my wife. And sometimes I'll just be mad, but not clear or specific. That doesn't help at all. But when I can be specific, it can actually then help her understand, oh, okay, when I did that, it made you feel this. I didn't realize that. Now I know. And she's committed to growth. She's committed for us to have a great marriage, and she's able to adapt and adjust. The same is true for me. When she shares, hey, when you said that, it made me feel this. So important. How about this? Will you forgive me? Some of you have had that text message written, you just haven't sent it. Make the phone call while you can. Send the letter while you can. Can I have a do-over? Hey, dads, this. I'm using this one probably more than I should, but I've been using this one. We decided, I think it was through the marriage course, Kelly, that we incorporated that phrase into our family because our family is wonderful and we're committed and we're growing, but we're imperfect, just like everybody else. So there's many times where we just need to ask for a do-over. And I just like it. Maybe it's because I use mulligans in golf a lot, but I don't know. There's something to it. It's owning that you messed up, but it's also saying in a way that's like not the end of the relationship or the end of the world, and it's just saying, hey, I need a do-over. Will you give me a do-over? That's been super helpful for us. Those are repairing words. So many more, but those are just a handful. Let's keep moving. D stands for words that develop. Words that develop. Words, man, created in the image of God, meaning you and I have the capacity to build things with our words. And we're going to choose to do family better by choosing and learning how to use words that build others up according to their needs. And one of those ways that we do that is we learn how to use words that develop others. Others we're in relationship with, we're going to use developing words, and these words are sharpening words. They help others get better in all kinds of different ways. This is Proverbs 27, verse 17. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And we like that verse, and we use that a lot in men's groups, like, yeah, until we actually need to use words that actually sharpen people. They're like, I don't think I like that verse anymore. Because when you're the one that's getting sharpened, when I'm the one that's getting sharpened, it doesn't feel great. Don't leave me up here, right? It's like, man, when someone loves me enough to use developing words in my life and I'm the one now because I like to develop, but when I'm the one being developed, it's like, ooh, man, they must love me. But it's hard and it hurts, yet it's helpful. Why? I'm getting sharper, I'm growing, I'm getting better. Someone loved me enough to say it. Someone is loving me enough to hold up the mirror. Developing words, what do? They reveal blind spots. We all have blind spots. Did you know that you have blind spots? You have blind spots. Guys, there are things that you do. There are things that you say that you don't even see it. It's called a blind spot, and yet developing words from a spouse said in a helpful way, probably after a couple compliments, can really be helpful. Pick your timing well, but say it. Use developing words to reveal some of those blind spots. This is what they do. These sharpening words, these developing words can reveal new growth areas. It can call out unhealthy habits. Do you have buddies in your life? Do you have friends in your family? Do you have brothers that will actually call out things that are holding your life back? Man, that's when you know you've got real friends. Developing words can also be used to inspire others. I know as a leader, as a dad, man, I want to inspire my wife. I want to inspire my daughters. I really do. I know my words weigh 1,000 pounds, so I'm going to be really careful with them, but I want my words to be like a tailwind behind their back, pushing them forward. I want my words to inspire my daughters to not pull up short. When they've said yes to something, their yes will be yes. They're not going to pull up short. I want my words to inspire them towards Jesus. I want my words to inspire them towards the greatest adventure of a lifetime, which is that of following Jesus. These are these kinds of developing words. I've been on the receiving end of so many developing words. My parents did such a good job on this. My wife does an amazing job on this. My in-laws are actually in visiting right now from Oklahoma City. I see Mark and Kathy back there. You guys are professionals at this. Tommy, you guys know Tommy. We started mission together. We've been buds our whole life. And I'll never forget, this was a few years back. He said, hey man, let's get some breakfast. I'm like, great, I love to eat. So we went out to Brunch Cafe here in Roselle, and we sat down, and I was excited because I thought he was going to tell me how good my message was, and it wasn't that. I knew by the time he walked in, I could see it on his face because we can know what each other are thinking from across the room. And I'm like, oh no, I did something. And he sat down, and I knew it was coming. And he's like, hey man, he's like, I love you. I'm like, oh man, what did I? And he's doing it right because that's where you need to start. But you want to get to it. He's like, you know that I love you. I'm like, yeah, I know that. And he says, you know that I'm. He's like, if anyone is for you, I am for you. I'm like, yep. You've proven that over decades, except 2 weeks ago when you preached and kind of said some things about me. But we don't need to get into that now. But yeah, he's like, you know that I'm for you. I said, yeah. And then Tommy was very specific around a blind spot in my leadership. And he said it, and I got to tell you, it hurt to hear it. And he said, John, I don't think anyone else is willing to tell you, but I'm that guy because I love you. And I love what God has put us in charge of to lead and serve. And he says, if you don't fix that, you're never going to become the leader you want to be. Our church is never going to become the church that we're supposed to be. Our staff isn't going to be what our staff's supposed to be. He said, this is true, and I'm just holding up a mirror. You know what you call that? You call that love. You call that brotherhood. You call that someone that cares enough to use developing words. And it was humbling, and I didn't like it, but it made me better. words that develop. And words are powerful, aren't they? 16,000 of them a day. And we just got to get good at using words that build. I want to finish with words that will build the most important thing that you could ever build. And that's a relationship with Jesus Christ. Words that save. Amen. That only you could say. I can just imagine what your relationships, what your family, what your marriage would look like if Christ was at the center. Words that save. Here they are, 3 of them. Sorry, please, thank you. We learned this in the Alpha course. That when you and I use these 3 words and we say these 3 words to a holy God who loves you completely and fully, something significant happens. That our heart of stone is replaced with a heart of flesh. That God then moves inside and takes up residency within us. That now we have that compassion to give, we have that empathy to give, we have that kindness because now we have the kindness of Christ within us. Have you prayed? Have you used these words that can save? Sorry. Owning your sin. There's just no way to sugarcoat it. You've sinned. We all have. We've fallen short of the standard. We've missed the mark. To be in a right relationship with a holy God, we have. That's what our sin has done. It's separated us from a holy God. And that's what sorry means, that you would say sorry, that you'd own your sin. Have you done that with your words? Please forgive me. Please forgive me. And you say it with an authentic heart. Please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you for forgiving me. How many of you right now, there's an amen welling up within you because when you surrendered your life to Jesus, it's not that it made your relationships easy, because there's no such thing, really. But all of a sudden, you now are experiencing the strength of God at the center of it. How many of you you're like, yeah, man, what he's saying is true. Like all of a sudden now, you had the ability to love your spouse and your kids with a love not of your own. And this is what's amazing about surrendering your life to Jesus. Not only are you forgiven forever, but you become his disciple. You become his apprentice. He then teaches you how to live. It's the coolest thing. He shows you how to relate to people. And then when you use your words that break instead of build, you feel conviction over it immediately. That's when you know God's moved in. And you're like, no, I'm not doing that. That used to be. I'm this now. I'm his apprentice. I'm following after him. Words that save. This is a game changer. This is why I had to finish this sermon with these words. Have you prayed these words? And listen to me. When you come into a saving relationship with Jesus Christ, it doesn't like all of a sudden marriage is so easy. No, it's just now that you're going to spend eternity in heaven and on earth. You now have someone that you were following right behind named Jesus Christ who's going to show you how to love. He establishes the ethic of love. He establishes the standard of forgiveness. He establishes it all. You're following right behind him. Now you're following him, not your uncle, not your dad, not anybody else. And you're going to say, all right, Jesus, I'm just right behind you. I'm finding and following Christ, and you're going to teach me how to love these teenage girls because I've never done this before. I don't know how to parent them. And you'll sense in your spirit, God say, I'll show you how. I made them. Fearfully and wonderfully made them. God, I've never been married before. Now I'm married, and we're 1 year in, and it's hard. She does things that drive me crazy. And you'll sense God say, come on, just follow me. I'm going to teach you how to meet her needs first and yours next. Pray these words, sorry, please, and thank you. Last night, a guy that was here for the very first time ever to mission. How cool is this? His name is Elijah. Someone invited him. He came last night. And sitting here in this room, he prayed those words for the first time in his life. Came forward to our prayer team. They got his information. Connections team. Liz, our connections director, told us all, amazing, Elijah, this guy, first time to Mission Church, prayed to receive Christ last night. Maybe this moment is your moment now. Why wouldn't you? Pray these words. Sorry, please. Thank you. Prayer team, if you come forward at this time, our prayer team is available every single weekend to pray with you. Receive prayer for your relationships, for your family, for your marriage, for your kids, little, grown, for your grandkids. I love how many grandparents we have in this church. Man, what an opportunity. Receive prayer this weekend. Prayer for support, even prayer for praise, how things are going really well. Receive prayer this weekend. I want to pull up these 5 on the screen behind me that I went through, words. Just real quick, just look at those 5. You could even ask God to help you circle in your mind one of the 5. Maybe it's not all 5, maybe it's just one that you just feel the Lord drawing you to right now. That's the one right now, fast obedience, you're going to apply within the context of your relationships. Words that are wise. Yeah, we're going to pause first. Words that open up. Wow, tell me more. Words that repair. Can I have a do-over? Will you forgive me? Words that develop. Keep going. That's not who you are. I love you. Words that save. Sorry, please, thank you. If you'd stand to your feet, let me close this in prayer. God, thank you for what you're doing in this room. God, thank you for how you are at work. And you've not quit on us, and I pray that we wouldn't quit on others. Holy Spirit, come. Bring a wind right now of conviction, of inspiration, of desire to do family better. It's not too late. No, it's not too late. I pray that we would apply this right now, immediately. So much is at stake. And God, I don't know why, but this is what you created. Created us in your image, and so our words, all 16,000 of them every day, they have the capacity to build or break. And God, I pray that we'd be a church, that we'd be people in every situation, in every conversation, in every room that we walk into, we consciously choose to use our words to build others up according to their needs. That's what Christians do. We love you. And we pray this in Jesus' name, and all God's people agreed and said, amen. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this message. We are praying that this helps you in your journey in finding and following Christ. As always, we would love to see you right here at Mission on the weekend. We will see you soon. We are Mission.